Hey, I'm Douglas Debecker, and in this video, I'm going to share with you the ancient cultural knowledge that has helped people for thousands of years stay healthy. After you apply the suggestions I'm going to give you, you will very quickly start to see the benefits. You'll have more energy, better digestion, better sleep, less pain. You'll be more adaptable to your situations. And you will have to use less medications. You won't have to take so many supplements, and you'll be more strong naturally without a lot of additives, without having to take a lot of supplements, without having to take a lot of medications. In fact, you could even possibly reduce your medications and supplements to the point where you don't need them anymore, just with these simple suggestions that I'm going to give you on how to balance out your natural genetic disposition.
Debecker is the world's top expert in indigenous traditional medicine.
When a client comes to me, I do my best to listen intently to what they ask and address exactly what they say their main complaint
Douglas
is.
Debecker, he is considered the Sherlock Holmes of medicine.
Integrate Chinese medicines, Indian medicines, is for us to learn more about.
The first thing that I'll cover is how to understand what kind of body you have. In the ancient traditions, we talk about different kinds of bodies. Yeah, everyone has a genetic disposition that makes them a little bit different from other people. Some people have a body, you could say, that is more hot. Some people has a body that's more cold. And some people have a body that's more influenced by stress. So the vulnerability or the inability for the person to actually adapt to those conditions is weakened in certain genetic dispositions. And so I'm going to show you here in this video how you can actually apply simple, basic habits that will help you to keep those weak aspects of your disposition strong. And also, if you get some kind of imbalance, how to identify it as being more of a hot imbalance or cold imbalance. So the hot body is actually someone who tends to be driven. Yeah, they can really do a lot, achieve a lot. They want to achieve a lot, and they want to learn. They're very curious and active. And they tend to be so much so that they can be a little bit argumentative, trying to discover what the reality is about any particular situation. They run a little bit hot in their body temperature. And a hot person tends to also have looser stools, looser bowel movements. They tend towards diarrhea. They also tend to get discomfort when they, about 30 minutes after they eat, they have a little bit of digestive discomfort if they start to have any digestive problem. Also, they don't really sleep very well. So that's also another thing that is very common with someone that's really fiery. Yeah, they just go. It's like they're on all the time. The light never shuts off. Even when they sleep, often they just have a light sleep. So there's very simple ways that for thousands of years people have utilized their diet, their activities to help balance that out so that it doesn't push them to the point of having kidney disease and heart disease, which are usually the things that result from that. The other body type is a cold body type, and those people tend to have a hard time getting activated, having a hard time getting motivated. They like to sit and be kind of still. They're very, a little bit stubborn, hard to change. Yeah, they don't really act fast. And when they do, they like to stick to what they're doing and stay on the track. And it's hard to get them to change. They tend to be sweeter people, but they also have a little bit of issue with constipation if their digestion goes out of balance. They tend to have a colder body temperature. Their body's a little bit more oily, and they they don't really like confrontation too much. Yeah, they're kind of off. They sleep really well. They can sleep, and it's very difficult to wake them up. Okay, so the person that has a hot body, they should focus on things that help them cool down. Foods and activities that help slow them down and cool them down. So the substances that can do that are, in particular, one of the key substances is a fat that's solid at room temperature. And that's like butter or coconut oil, for instance. These are high sterol containing fats, saturated fats. And they help the person to turn off, which is the main issue that they have. They can't really turn off. In order for your body to turn off, it needs these saturated fats or sterol containing fats. Also, there's certain herbs that you can use. You can do things like bitter foods are very cooling, and they're very helpful. And in particular, when you're applying certain tastes like this, like bitter taste, you want to do it in the afternoon when the heat is the most. This will be really effective and really help the person that has a lot of fire, basically, that's hot. Sweet, juicy fruits are very helpful, as well as fresh yogurt. These are very, very good for a person who's hot. Other foods that they have, such as like for protein, they can have whatever they want, really. Just they should stay away from things that are too hot. Spicy food, fish, fried food, all these things make you too hot. You can have eggs, cheese, beans. Chicken is a very, very good meat. If you eat meat, chicken is a very good meat to have if you're hot. Also, the person doesn't want to do too much fish because that has more of a liquid oil. They don't want to do too much nuts and seeds. That also has a liquid oil. Liquid oils that are liquid at room temperature, will actually increase the fire in the body. It'll increase the oxidation. It'll increase the inflammation and keep that person on. It'll keep that person from being able to turn off. And their natural disposition is to stay on and to be hot. And so they don't really need so much of that. What they need is the other side of things. Other things that make you more hot are like sour foods. Honey, even though it's sweet, will make you very hot. So honey is not so good if you have this hot temperament, hot disposition, if you're a driven person. Salty, spicy, all these things make you hotter. Alcohol is also irritating and will also make you hot. So all of these things you should decrease. And if you can take your water and boil it and then let it cool down, for thousands of years this has been used to help cool the body down. It actually helps the bile to move, which is a big issue for people who have a hot temperament that are really driven. Their bile tends to not move so well. And so boiling water, letting it cool down, will help cool down their body. Yeah, so let's move on to the cold body type. Like I said before, they tend to be cold and they sleep very deep. They have a very hard time getting up in the morning and going. And one of the foundational things that can be really helpful for people who have cold body type is olive oil and the oils that come from nuts and seeds. These things create more oxidation, which a person who has a cold temperament tends to not have enough of. They tend to not have enough oxidation. And so when they eat more nuts and seeds or olive oil, they're getting these liquid oils that really help to turn them on. This will help give them more energy, give them more motivation to get up and do something. Yeah, it will help them turn on to be a little bit more hot. They should also not eat too many sweets and avoid eating a lot of carbohydrates. They tend to be already very sweet people. There's things that can help them with that sweet side, such as chickpeas or garbanzo beans. This is very helpful. Also, fenugreek is also helpful as well. If they can make a tea out of fenugreek. So anything that's a little bit warmer, warm food, warm drinks, a little bit of spicy, like with ginger, tends to be very helpful. Honey tends to be very helpful. Even though it's sweet, it really helps to heat up and break down that heaviness within a cold type of person. So congratulations, your journey to an empowered life has started. You can now use the things that have been reserved for the royalty and the elite for thousands of years. You can start to use that now to have a healthier life that's less dependent on substances like medicines and supplements. If you found this video interesting, please like and subscribe to our channel. Join us in this movement to bring more health sovereignty to the world. We will be uploading regular tips on how, why, and when to utilize all of this knowledge to have very efficient management of your own body constitution, and every illness also can be classified in this way as well. Either it's hot or cold. We will teach you how to use this information to utilize things you already have in your kitchen that can help you live a longer life with less pain, better digestion, more energy, better sleep, and to be more flexible and adaptable to your situations. In the next video, we will cover the third body type, which is more subtle and more unknown in the West. This is a body type that is very susceptible to stress, that's very creative, that has a lot of energy, and that is very subtle in how to manage. It has an influence that is very hard to understand from a Western paradigm. The hot and cold body type is easy to understand, but all three of these body constitutional types, we've actually have genetic markers now to understand which body constitution you actually have. But we don't need to look at the genetic disposition. We can use the basic information that's been used for thousands of years to understand what your natural disposition is. And then as well, because of this natural disposition, your illness or your whatever you're struggling with in your health is usually dominated by one of these three conditions. Normally it's dominated by a hot or cold condition, and those conditions usually mimic the body weakness that everyone's born with. Everyone's born with a certain body disposition that makes it more difficult to compensate for more oxidation, or more difficult to compensate for more anaerobic or anabolic condition. Okay, these are the hot and cold body constitutions. So because of that, we tend to get those particular diseases. And so even though that's the case, sometimes we can have a different type of illness, and that requires a different type of protocol. So understanding these things make a huge difference on how to use your supplements, because each supplement also makes you more hot or cold. And then understanding the third body constitution that we'll go into in the next video will give you a huge edge on managing your hormones, managing your sensitivity. You might be hypersensitive, you might be very emotional, you might tend towards sadness and depression, you might be very changing all the time. It might seem like sometimes you're hot and sometimes you're cold, and you move around in all this. So we'll help you to balance this using simple substances and understanding the foundation of what we call the wind, which is really behind all the movement, whether you're hot or cold.